Morning, Charles. Alicia, if you just give us a sense of, let me call you real quick. Perfect. Good morning, Brooke. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Nice to see you.
Alicia, whenever you all are ready on your end.
Okay, we're waiting for Councilmember Allen to turn on his video and I'll begin recording. All right, hold one moment. We may begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. I'm Kenyon McDuffie, council member for Ward 5 and chair of the council's committee on business and economic development. Today is Wednesday, October 19th, 2022, and we're convening this additional meeting of the committee virtually via Zoom. We're also streaming live on www.dccouncil.us, as well as Kenya McDuffie Ward5.com. The time is 10:05 a.m. and I'm calling to order this additional meeting of the committee. For the record, I'd like to note that we have a quorum which consists of Ward 2 Councilmember Brooke Pinto, Ward 6 Councilmember Charles Allen, and myself. Today, the committee will consider a number of measures. Bill 24-798, the New Markets Tax Credit Real Property Tax Exemption Amendment Act of 2022, PR 24-927, the Mundo Verde Bilingual Public Charter School Revenue Bonds Project Approval Resolution of 2022, Bill 24-823, the 206 Elm Street Northwest Real Property Tax Abatement Amendment Act of 2022, Bill 24-851, the Small Business Credit Initiative Venture Capital Program Grant Making Establishment Amendment Act of 2022, Bill 24-894, the Whitman Walker Entities at St. Elizabeth's Tax Rebate Amendment Act of 2022, Bill 24-935, the UDC Lease Property Tax Abatement Amendment Act of 2022, and Bill 24-940, the Performing Arts Promotion Tax Rebate Clarification Amendment Act of 2022. First bill we're going to take up is Bill 24-798, the New Markets Tax Credit Real Property Tax Exemption Amendment Act of 2022, which was introduced on April 27, 2022 by me and referred to the Committee on Business and Economic Development on May 3rd, 2022. The committee held a public hearing on this bill on June 16th, 2022. This measure would provide a real property tax exemption for real property belonging to qualified active low-income community business that participate in transactions qualifying for new market tax credits. It would also streamline the real property tax exemption application timeline and process by which the Office of Tax and Revenue must review real property tax exemption applications for qualified businesses, applicants, and communicate its decision with applicants. The need for this bill arose during a February 2022 hearing the committee held, at which a consortium of local nonprofit housing organizations testified to the obstacles their members face when trying to secure financing for much needed projects in low-income communities of the district. In one example, a local nonprofit housing provider noted that it took 5 years to obtain approval of its tax exemption from OTR. Without this bill, several worthwhile affordable housing and workforce development projects may not come to fruition. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I move the draft committee report in print with leave for staff to make technical, editorial, conforming changes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it unanimously and the measure is approved. Next is PR 24-927, the Mundo Verde Bilingual Public Charter School Revenue Bonds Project Approval Resolution of 2022. The measure was introduced on September 16, 2022 by Chairman Mendelson at the request of the mayor. The proposed resolution was referred to the Committee on Business and Economic Development on September 20th, 2022, and the committee held a public hearing on the measure on October 5th, 2022. If approved, this legislation would allow District of Columbia to issue up to $60 million in tax-exempt bonds, notes, or other obligations to help Mundo Verde Bilingual Public Charter School to refinance bonds they received in 2014 to renovate its campus at 44 P Street Northwest, to acquire a facility the school currently leases at 4401 8th Street Northeast for use as a charter school campus, to acquire and construct a new campus on a parcel at 817 Varnum Street Northeast, as well as to finance the issuance and other costs associated with this total project. At the public hearing, the committee heard from the single member district representative from ANC 5803, and the commissioner expressed some concerns related to the traffic congestion, partly attributable to the school's drop-off and pickup processes, as well as some other schools in the area. The commissioner stated her desire to support this measure if she received a firm commitment from the school to engage with her and the community during its expansion process on the school's proposed traffic design and traffic plans. Following the commissioner's remarks, Mundo Verde's executive director explained the school's current traffic remediation efforts, and agreed to routinely engage the ANC Commission on its proposed traffic design and overall plans for its expanded campus. Since the hearing, the school has communicated with the ANC Commissioner, met with the single-member district just last night, and will present before the full ANC in the coming days. And the ANC Commissioner and community approved the committee's intent to vote this measure out of committee and look forward to working with the school to improve its traffic management plans. The committee also received some testimony from the school and staff with the Office of the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development that Mundo Verde's project complies with Section 490 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act and will not be of any recourse to the District of Columbia government. Is there any discussion? I move the draft committee report in print with leave for staff to make technical, editorial, and conforming changes. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously, and the measure is approved. Bill 24-823, the 206 Elm Street Northwest Real Property Tax Abatement Amendment Act of 2022 was introduced on May 23rd, 2022 by Councilmember Brian Nadeau and referred to the Committee on Business and Economic Development on June 6, 2022. The committee held a public hearing on this bill on September 21st, 2022. During the FY23 budget process, the council set aside $30,000 to fund this measure, which will provide a real property tax abatement for property located at 206 Elm Street Northwest during tax year 2023. Is there any discussion? I move the draft committee report in print with leave for staff to make technical, editorial, and conforming changes. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the measure passes. Next is Bill 24-851, the State Small Business Credit Initiative Venture Capital Program Grant Making Establishment Amendment Act of 2022, which was introduced on June 9, 2022 by Chairman Mendelson at the request of the mayor and refers to the Committee on Business and Economic Development on June 28, 2022. The committee held a public hearing on this bill on October 5, 2022. The council recently approved the emergency and temporary versions of this bill, which would establish a local venture capital program here in the district, funded by the United States Department of Treasury in accordance with that agency's guidelines. The bill would also amend legislation giving the Office of the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development with limited grant-making authority to allow the office to provide grants to a local program administrator for the purpose of making long-term investments in local district-based businesses. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I move the draft committee report in print with leave for staff to make technical, editorial, and conforming changes. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously, and the measure passes. Next is Bill 24-894, the Whitman Walker Entities at St. Elizabeth's Tax Rebate Amendment Act of 2022, which was introduced on June 27, 2022 by Council Members Gray, Vincent Gray, and Trayon White, and referred to the committee on July 12, 2022. The committee held a public hearing on this measure on October 5th, 2022. If approved, the bill would support Whitman Walker's expansion to the St. Elizabeth campus through the provision of a tax rebate of the organization's real property taxes at its new Max Robinson Center in Ward 8 for up to 25 years, so long as the entities maintain an active lease for the property, that paid the taxes on the property, and utilize the space for the provision of health-related services. The Whitman Walker entities have provided healthcare services to the District of Columbia's most vulnerable residents for nearly 50 years. The awarded expansion would allow the healthcare provider to increase its treatment capacity from 5,000 patients to 15,000 patients on the east end of the city. Expanded services at the site would include primary medical care, behavioral health, substance abuse, dental, and other supportive services. Is there any discussion? I move the draft committee report in print with leave for staff to make technical, editorial, and conforming changes. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposition? The ayes have it unanimously, and the measure passes. Next is the Bill 24-935, the UDC Lease Property Tax Abatement Amendment Act of 2022, which was introduced on July 11, 2022 by council members Robert White, Bonds, Lewis George, Pinto, Henderson, Silverman, Nadeau, Allen, Che, and Chairman Mendelson, and referred to the committee on July 12th. The committee held a hearing on the measure on October 5th, 2022. During its fiscal year 2023 budget deliberations, the council set aside funds to support this tax rebate for property leased by the University of the District of Columbia at 4225 Connecticut Avenue Northwest, so long as the university continues to lease the property and use it for educational purposes. While the administrative real property tax exemptions are granted to nonprofit organizations who own the property from which they operate, the University of the District of Columbia is a land-grant institution that does not own its real property. That said, although it is a nonprofit institution, it must obtain real property tax relief via legislative action to adhere to the intent of the law, which grants real property tax relief for nonprofit organizations who use their sites for educational purposes, and to consistently apply this relief to every eligible UDC leased property. I'm moving this measure forward for a vote. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I move the draft committee report in print with leave for staff to make technical, editorial, and conforming changes. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. The measure passes. Bill 24-940, the Performing Arts Promotion Tax Rebate Clarification Amendment Act of 2022, was introduced on July 12th, 2022 by Councilmember Robert White and referred to the Committee on Business and Economic Development on September 20th, 2022. The committee held a public hearing on the measure on October 5th, 2022. The council previously approved the emergency and temporary versions of this measure, which would provide tax relief to eligible entertainment venues during a public health emergency. The bill would also give authority to the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment to review and process applications and to certify to the Office of Tax and Revenue which companies are eligible for the tax rebate. Is there any discussion? And then I move the draft committee report in print with leave for staff to make technical, editorial, and conforming changes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it unanimously and the measure is approved. This concludes the additional meeting of the Committee on Business and Economic Development. The time is now 10:17 a.m. and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.